let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
She is the sitting vice president of the United States, who was put in charge of the border, what, the first month that they were in office? And she will not answer a direct and simple question. It is her responsibility to know. She would not take responsibility, though, for anything that really happened during her time in office. Certainly not for the invasion that she unleashed on our country.
Looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the...
Yes, ma'am. May I finish responding, please? But you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate, and they didn't bring up that bill.
I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem.
Okay. This is an issue that yours truly has been focusing on for, 25 years or so. Here's the deal. She knows this is incredibly damaging to her campaign. She knows that she cannot tout her record on the border. So what she does instead is she shifts. She just moves to the same old cliches. Oh, we have a broken immigration system. Oh, well, we signed on to the Langford bill, which, of course, on the angle you saw, we completely exposed it for the fraud that it was. Brett pointed out that under that bill, still 1.8 million migrants could be waved into the country. You wouldn't have to declare an emergency unless it was 1.8 million people who had crossed in. So it wasn't really a border bill, it was an immigration bill. But she can't really speak to the details, despite the fact that, again, she's the border czar. And again, she points herself into the same radical direction that she was in back in 2019, where people saw her back then as a true radical. She's still a true radical. That's why she refuses to renounce her policies.
Immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
All right, joining us now, Eric Trump, Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization. So, Eric, she refuses to give an answer. I just keep going back to how many people have y'all let into the country? She will not answer that question. Your response to just
Laura,
on that point.
I mean, Laura, the only thing that's very clear, using what she said over and over again, I've been very clear, is why she hasn't done an interview in 46 days, because she can't answer these questions, right? I mean, that was so apparent tonight. Brett asked her a simple question. Do you support, sex changes for illegal incarcerated immigrants?
Yeah, we're going to get
Brett,
to that.
I'm going to follow the law. No, do you support it? You know what Donald Trump would have said? No, I do not support it. Brett, I do not support it. That's what Donald Trump would have said. And she was wandering all over the place. Then she gets out to, yes, border security is very important to me. If border security was so important to you, why did you fly 320,000 people on private planes into airports all across the country in the middle of the night. If border security was so important to you, why did you sell the border wall, meaning the slats of steel, right, that my father had built? Why did you sell it for scrap metal to the lowest bidder, right? Why did you sell off the wall? If border security was so important to you, why did you turn off all the security cameras that are on these massive poles 100 yards behind the wall, so that people couldn't see the invasion that's that's happening at the southern border, right? And it's a hell of a lot more than 6 million people. I mean, 6 million people that were let go in the United States, but over 20 million people have come into the United States, including 320,000 deaths this year, Laura, of fentanyl deaths of our youth in this country who have been poisoned based on the fact that we have that person right there who can't answer a damn question and clearly does not care about the issues at hand. That, Laura Ingraham, is why she has not done an interview in 46 days other than Call Her Daddy podcast as a Category 5 hurricane is about to hit the great state of Florida. It's a joke. This country deserves so much better than what we just saw.
Yeah, I mean, her own administration has come up with the estimates of the number of encounters, that they call them encounters, at the border. But she, again, I'm just going to go back to this. This is a very important point. She knows that that is horrifically damaging to her campaign. When Americans see that migrants are getting stipends, monthly stipends, as we have veterans living on the streets in the United States of America, as we have families who can't afford to, pay the interest on their credit card or a car loan. And she's like, well, let me finish. That whole let me finish thing, that was also a little strategy she tried to employ when she really couldn't answer the question. She was also, Eric, asked again for the third time in a week, I believe it was a week, 10 days, if you're going to turn the page, if you're a change candidate, how does that manifest itself? Watch.
So, you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes in to office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership.
Again, falls back on bromides and cliches. A new generation of leadership, Eric Trump.
Laura, her generation of leadership destroyed one of the greatest cities in America, which is San Francisco. Every company has left. Every bank has left. Elon Musk just left. There is no industry anymore there. You can't afford to live there. It's the most expensive city by far in this country. You can't walk down the street without getting robbed. You can't walk down the street without stepping over a hypodermic needle or walking through a homeless camp. She destroyed one of the great American cities, and this is her, the next generation of leadership.